I am going to tell you about the simplest financial plan that no one ever will tell you and no one ever is also going to follow. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Niraj and I talk about personal finance and credit cards on this channel. And I am also an owner at Holistic Prime Wealth Private Limited. So let us begin. Today I am going to run you through the simplest financial plan that you can follow for yourself. And there are a lot of improvements also that you can do if you want better results in your finances, right? So stay tuned and watch the video till the end because it's going to be an interesting video that we are doing today and that things that we are talking about today. So if you have an active income, you should be thinking about managing your money, right? Because if you don't manage your money and continue to ignore this, you will suffer later in life. This I guess everybody knows, right? We have all seen our parents doing random stuff with their money, right? They may have given us education, but they have not done enough for themselves to secure their own future and secure their own retirement, right? So let us not repeat the same mistakes done by our ancestors. So we are going to talk about all these things today. So the first step that you should be doing is figure out your income and expenses. Basically budget out your income and expenses and see how much you are earning on a monthly basis and yearly basis, and see how much you are spending on a monthly and yearly basis. Bucket your expenses from, say, fixed expenses, lifestyle expenses, and insurances, contribution to parents, and your other discretionary stuff, right? EMIs and all that. Once you have created a budget, also list down all the financial goals that you have. You want to buy a car, you want to buy a house, you want to retire early, you want to send your kids to foreign schools, and so on, right? List down all your budgets and put the values against them so that you will get a fair idea of how much money you need to save for each goal. And then start with the basics. The first basic that you need to do is emergency planning. So what should you be doing in emergency planning? There are two most important things in emergency planning: insurances and setting up an emergency fund. And there are four types of insurances that are very, very important for everybody. The first insurance that is important for everyone is the health insurance. It is basically a non-negotiable item that I personally believe. My own health insurance is for 1 crore rupees, and I'm showing that on the screen also so that you can believe that I actually have a 1 crore rupees worth of health insurance. The premium for this is 27,000 rupees per year. Okay, and my wife also has a separate 75 lakh rupees worth of cover, and my mother has a 20 lakh rupees worth of cover. Now the cover changes depending on the age and the remaining life also. So a lot of factors, the premium and the budget for the premium and so on, right? The second thing that you should be thinking about is the term life insurance. If you have dependents or you're going to add dependents in the future, buy a term insurance today, right? Simple. Don't think about anything else. Just buy it. Just go and buy it. Okay. These two things: health insurance, term insurance, very, very important. Third thing is the accident cover. Accident cover largely not important for everybody. You have to evaluate whether you prone to meeting with an accident on a day-to-day basis. If yes, then go and buy an accident cover. If no, you can leave it. And same for critical illness. Figure out if your family has a health history, right? People have been diagnosed with critical illnesses in the past. Assess your own health and see, are you prone to meeting any sort of critical illnesses in the past, and you can buy or not buy. Generally people don't buy critical illness cover because it's also very expensive. So I generally recommend that term and health insurance is the most important. Accident cover and critical illness is optional. Then we come to emergency funds. Emergency funds are basically a tool for you to survive during your bad days, right? Your bad days could be because of a job loss. It can be because of, say, a bad health emergency, a prolonged health emergency wherein you have to pay money from your own pocket and insurance is not covering for it. So emergency fund, you're considering your emergency fund, add your fixed expenses, add your EMIs, kids school fees. Do not add your SIPs, do not add your travel expenses when you're considering your emergency fund, right? You can make a thumb rule probably and say that I will have a minimum 6 months of emergency fund. Higher the better, right? If you take my own example, our emergency fund is probably 2.5 years worth of expenses in emergency funds. Yes, where to park the money and all is a bigger question, but you can put it in ultra short term funds, you can put it in liquid funds, in a bank fixed deposits. This is the simplest way to do it. There are more better strategies, but that we tell our clients, if you want to do that, you can reach out to us. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is the goal planning that we discussed, right? So we are done with emergency planning. You set up an emergency fund, you've bought all your insurances. Folks, before we move on, let me also tell you about the firm, right? Here we provide complete financial guidance starting from emergency planning to estate planning, tax filing, tax planning, credit cards, goal planning, and so on. So if you are interested, please reach out to me on on my email shared in the description box below. It's Niraj at holisticwealth.in. And also, let me tell you about the newsletter that I run on a monthly basis. It's called the Cards and Rewards newsletter, wherein we talk about credit cards, earning credit card points, and redeeming them. And all the updates from the past month will be shared in the letter. I am sharing the link for signing up for the letter also in the description box below. Now, let us move on to the third aspect of the strategy, right? You have to figure out your financial goals. Figure out your financial goals and list them in the order of priority. So let me tell you my own financial goals, right? The first financial goal is retirement, building a retirement corpus for myself. So you can use multiple retirement calculators that are available online, and then you start investing towards it. Second priority is, say, kids education, right? I don't have kids right now, but if you have kids, you should definitely plan for your kids education. You can figure out whether you want to send them to college in India or outside India and budget accordingly. College education in India can cost somewhere between 5 to 15 lakh rupees per year today, and outside India it can cost anywhere between 30 lakhs to 1 crore rupees per year, depending on which college you pick. And this is also, you need to factor in inflation, right? So make sure that you use the online calculators, and inflation factoring should also be a little bit higher, more than in the normal inflation, because education inflation is high. Then other goals like buying a house, buying a car will totally depend on your income and your savings rate, right? So but the first two important goals I have already told you about that. Then you can start figuring out where to invest money towards it, right? Mutual funds become the best place for investing, long term investing. So for your long term goals, right? So start with equity mutual funds. You can take an index fund strategy, or you can take actively managed fund strategy, depending on the kind of returns you seek, right? If you want to keep it very simple, just buy index funds and forget. Other instruments that you should consider is public provident fund and the employees provident fund, national pension scheme for your retirement corpus, right? Now where you invest also depends on the time horizon of your investment, right? So if your kids education goal is, say, 5 years away, you cannot invest the money fully in equity. You can take a hybrid strategy or more safer strategy. All of this depends on multiple factors, very hard to tell you on the video, but try to follow a goal based, priority based approach and invest according to time horizon. You can go all in equity for goals which are 7 to 10 years away or more, and you don't take 100% equity exposure for goals which are less than 5 years away. Then next, now let me tell you certain ideas and strategies which can enhance your finances. Health insurance, right? Try to buy an health insurance through an advisor, health and term insurance both, because at the time of need, the advisor will step in and make sure that your claims are getting paid out. Otherwise, you will be going back and forth with the insurance company yourself and struggling to get the claim. We have many clients who have gotten claims through us, and they are very, very happy. So this is one thing that we also do at the firm, right? Then in case of a term insurance claim, right, once your family gets a payout, where to invest the money is also very important, because the bankers will try to sell them the worst of the products possible. So this is also something that you need to keep in mind. If you want higher than index mutual fund returns, try to go for an actively managed fund strategy, right? If you can't figure it out yourself, work with an advisor, because always remember, an index fund will give you lesser returns than the index, right? Because of the tracking error and tracking differences that they carry. Then do proper tax planning. This is also a very, very important aspect of financial planning, right? You have to make sure that you reduce your tax outflow today. So figure out how much to contribute to NPS, your EPF contributions, and so on, right? These become very, very important as far as tax planning is concerned. If you are in business, then there are multiple tax planning strategies that can be used, right? So work with your CA, work with an advisor who can advise you on this. And also use credit cards, guys. I cannot emphasize enough. We started this channel as a credit cards channel, so you guys already know how I personally use credit cards to generate rewards and almost make my travel free, right? So definitely you should be using credit cards as a smart strategy. So now let us also understand some things that people do which will wreck your finances. Okay, so the first thing that you will wreck, you'll be doing which will wreck your finances, stock picking, right? Do not pick stocks. It is not your job to pick stocks, right? If you have a full-time job, it is most likely that you do not enjoy picking stocks, right? You are just doing it because you can look good in front of your friends and colleagues, right? If you have been picking stocks in the past, why don't you do an exercise? Just calculate the annualized returns from your stock picking investments that you have done and compare it with an average mutual fund. Most likely it's going to be lower than the mutual fund returns, right? Also factor in the taxes and expenses that you paid for the stock picking that you have done. So as a thumb rule, do not pick stocks. The second thing to do is no options trading and no futures trading. Do not take unnecessary leverage, right? Again, it can wreck your finances. And this is true for 99% of people. Even SEBI study has said that 93% people did not make money. So ask yourself what makes you special, that you will be able to generate the excess returns possible, right? Most likely you will lose all your capital, so don't do it. And lastly, lack of patience, right? Do not jump from mutual fund to mutual fund, stock to stock, just because you think that it's not going to give you returns, it's not giving you returns. Wealth is created in the long run by sticking to the same sort of investments, right? Take the example of HDFC flexi cap fund. It was probably the most hated fund from before 2020, because it carried a lot of PSU stocks in the portfolio, but it was managed by one of the best fund managers in the country, Prashant Jain, right? And the fund is still one of the top performing funds today. So people lost patience and exited the fund at that time, and you know what happened after that, right? So don't do things which will wreck your finances. So I'll stop here today. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope you like this video, enjoyed this video. Do not forget to share it with your friends also, so that they can also learn something about finances. Thank you for watching.